Hello, my name is Samuel Gorman, and I'm here to talk about Halloween. Halloween is an ancient holiday full of candy, sweets, skeletons, and costumes. Today, Americans spend approximately $6 billion preparing for Halloween, making it the nation's second largest commercial holiday. It is celebrated all over the world, not just in America, and is considered a staple of our holidays. However, Halloween has not always been like this. In fact, Halloween used to be very different. While today it is much more playful in its mystical themes, it used to take these themes very seriously. Halloween used to be known as Samhain, and it was held on the same day as our modern Halloween. Initially, Samhain was celebrated by the Celtics, who believed that this day was when the boundary between our world and the world between the dead was especially thin in this time frame, and it enabled them to connect with the dead. The Celtics celebrated this holiday. They celebrated in costumes, which were mostly just animal hides at the time. They were used as a disguise against ghosts, and at the time they also enjoyed special feasts and made lanterns out of hollowed out gourds, which is where our concept of jack-o'-lanterns comes from as well. Eventually, however, this changed, not into our modern day definition, though. Instead, around the 4th century, Christianity began to take over the Celtic lands, and it became mainstream around the 5th and the 6th century. Samhain became replaced with All Hallows Eve, which initially was taking place on May 13th, but due to conflicts with other holidays for the Christians, most likely Easter, it was changed in the 7th century to October 31st due to similarities to Samhain. The holiday changed from mystical things like the dead to easing in mainly talking about the future. Apple bobbing, for instance, was meant as a light-hearted game to let women see who they might marry as a potential matchmaking game. Other games, such as one where they would look into mirrors simply to see if they would catch a glimpse of their future, as well as a small treat that acted similarly to fortune cookies of modern times, where the cookie was heated and the message inside the food was seen through the food. By comparison, our modern day practices are far more tame. Instead of focusing on anything mystical, we mainly focus on community and neighborly get-togethers in today's time. We've become much less concerned with things like ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft, although they still are a part of the aesthetic of Halloween. Trick-or-treating, meanwhile, was actually born from an old Celtic tradition, where poor people would visit the houses of wealthier families and receive pastries called soul cakes, in exchange for a promise to pray for the souls of the homeowner's dead relatives. This practice was known as souling, and it was later adopted by children who went door to door asking for gifts, such as food, money, and ale. The old tradition of wearing costumes was also by the Celtics, although while it did fall out during its point where it was influenced by Christianity, it eventually came back as a way for neighbors to scare each other. In conclusion, Halloween was initially a Celtic tradition by the name of Samhain, involving the realm of the dead and other mystical ideas. Around the 7th century, it was taken over by the holiday All Hallows Eve by Christians and began to focus less on the mystic part of Halloween. And as time went on, this has continued to where we are today, where we are more focused on community get-togethers and trick-or-treating. It has also gotten to the point where this history has been mainly forgotten, at least to the Celtic point. It is common for most people to know of All Hallows Eve, but not to know of Samhain.